Hello, my name's Rick Higgins, and in this video we're going to be showing you how to replace your rusty heater channels with brand new ones. Now if you've been following along in the series, now this is the heater channel that you'll have in the 68 and later one. You'll see it has the vent down in here, has the pipe that runs through it, and has the carpet clip that folds to the outside, because that's the way they hook on the later model cars. Now this looks almost exactly like the Super Beetle heater channel, but if I put these two together, you'll be able to see there's a difference. Now can you see this up at the top? The one for the Super Beetle is about 2 inches shorter, and the reason for that is that in the standard Beetle, the heater channel goes up under the front chassis support. On the Super Beetle, it actually welds to the chassis support and has a flange on the bottom side that goes up underneath there. Now we'll be showing you that when we put the heater channels in the cars. Now one other thing you need to be aware of if you've got a convertible is this reinforcement that goes underneath the heater channel. This actually is welded to the heater channel before you put it up in there. We'll be showing you how to do that too. Now let's go over and take
Now up front here, this piece right here is called the front chassis support, and the heater channel runs underneath that and is actually welded to the front side of it from the factory on the Super Beetle and on the convertibles, though it's welded on the inside, and that's what we've done on this one here when we replaced it. Then there's a seam all the way across here where there's no welds at all. It's welded on the outside. But when we get to the doorpost, then we'll find a solid weld again all the way along the bottom edge of the doorpost here in the front. And then if we go to the back, now Wade will use the spot weld cutter on the rear flange of the old heater channel, since we're trying to save the inner panel, which is our rear chassis support. To do that, it'd be a lot easier if you take the door off, and we're going to show you how to do that. The first thing, it's a good idea to soak the screws down real good ahead of time with some good penetrating oil. Let it soak, and then the first thing you're going to have to do is pull the pin out of the door stop right up here. It has a little circlip right on the bottom side of it here. And it's a tiny little thing. You see it there? And you want to set that aside someplace where you can find it. And then the pin should come right out there if you take the tension off of it. And set that aside where you can find it. Now there are 3 screws on the top, 3 screws on the bottom, and these are number 4 Phillips head screws. And you'll want to use a number 4 Phillips head screwdriver and nothing smaller than that, or you'll ruin those screws. Now sometimes these screws come out easy and sometimes they come out real hard. So you want to get a Phillips screwdriver that has the shaft on it here to where you can put a wrench on it if at all possible. Now I have something else I want to show you. Now we're to the point where Wade will be drilling out the spot welds on the outside of the heater channel here, inside the fender well and on the bottom side of the quarter panel. And when he does that, the heater channel will be completely loose from the car and we'll be ready to lift up the front of the car and pull it out of there. Now before we do that, we want to shore up the doorway here. And so we're going to be using a piece of angle iron here. This is just plain 1-inch angle iron. I've drilled a couple of quarter-inch. Now we're ready to lift the body up, and we're going to show you a special technique we have for lifting the front end of the body up. Now what we have here is a couple of stacks of 2x4s. Okay, now we put our other stack of 2x4s in here. We'll stack on each side. You can see we've got the shifter off of here. There's just a bolt on each side of that, 13 that comes out of there. And that comes right out. Put our little platform up in here. And then our jack sits in here right on top of that. Now our 2x4 here, you can see, is cut at an angle on this end, and it's beveled a little bit so it fits in against the wheel well. And it goes right up in this corner here, like that, and it sets under the lip, the bottom side of the trunk.
And we can lift it from right there. And I've got a couple little shims to go in here. In case it bows a little bit. And jack it up right there. Now the reason we're lifting it from right here is to put as little stress on the front end as we have to. Got it. Okay, we got that ugly thing out of there. We're ready to put our new one back in. Got a little bit of trimming up to do before we do that.
When we're repairing this, we're going to be cutting out our old piece of metal here. There's a few things that holds it into place. One, this pinch bead right here, and we're going to be grinding off the top edge of this pinch bead because this metal folds over this piece of metal and pinches it in there. There's another couple of spot welds, though, after we unfold the metal, we'll be able to take it. Once it's all lined up, we'll mark it so we know what we're going to be cutting later. Now, I'm using a sharp instrument. Use an awl or something like this. I don't suggest you use a marker or anything. If you do, you might end up with a wider line than you want, and you're not going to be for sure where to cut. And it's real important because we're going to be doing what's called a butt weld. And the two pieces of metal come and butt right up next to each other. And it's very important that those two edges line up real good.
Okay, so we've got our bar back in here now. So we know the width at the bottom of the door here, at least halfway up, is going to be right. Actually, our measurement in here is about 36.5 inches. And we measured this before so we could get it right. And the door is really pretty square, about halfway up the door. So we want to make sure we got that measurement right. But at the same time, we got to make sure that the door's not too... Okay, we can see our door fits up here pretty good. Closed right up. You can see the crack in the door here is pretty. Now, if you're working on a convertible, you're going to find a few differences on these than you did on the sedan. Now, one thing we mentioned before, that in each side of the door opening here, there are gussets to strengthen this because we don't have the body holding it all together in one piece in the top like we did before. And you've got the reinforcement rail on the bottom. But let's take a look inside and we'll show you where those gussets are at and how those things come out of there, and then you'll be able to see once they're out that then the heater channel comes out pretty much like it did on the Bug. Let's take a look up front here first. Now you can see we have this whole inner panel here painted gray so you can see it separate from the rest of the car.
All right, that looks like it'll hold it on there real good. Now we switched wire size for this. We use size 30 wire for this thicker metal. We use size 24 for the rest of the body parts on the car because they're a lot thinner metal. It's a lot easier to do that way. Now you might have noticed I've been wearing a long sleeve shirt while I was doing a lot of this long periods of welding. Now this isn't really going to protect me from the sparks or hot pieces of metal. But we're using argon gas, so I'm not as concerned about that anyways. What this will protect me against is the light from the welding itself. Now, you know that light can hurt your eyes, but what you might not know is it can hurt your skin too. It can give you a burn just like a sunburn, a real bad sunburn too, in a relatively short period of time. So anytime you're welding for more than just a little time, protect yourself from the rays, for your skin from the rays and your eyes. Never look at it. Be very careful with it.
Perfect. That's what we wanted to see. We got a nice fit there. Now all we have to do is just go back in and put all of our panels back in, just fill in all the spot welds where we took them out before, all the little solid welds and everything, and we'll have us a nice solid Bug here for our project. Now all this looks like a pretty big job, but it's the big jobs that are the most rewarding. And the procedures that we've shown you here should give you the confidence to go out and tackle your project, and you're going to end up with a job that you'll be proud of. So get out there and get started. We'll see you the next time.